Got another one? Hello, and welcome. There's been a lot of hype around the upcoming Milsim game Bellum that's currently in development and going through testing. This video will get you up to date on this realistic tactical shooter, currently in closed alpha playtesting and planned for release later this year. This video is mostly for people who are unfamiliar with the game or haven't been able to play it yet. By the end of the video, you'll know what type of game this is, so you can see if you might be interested in it, where the development stands, and how the game feels right now. I'll also be going over some of the basics of the game, like what the different additions are that you could purchase, the 3 playable factions, the map we're currently playtesting, and a little bit of what we can expect in the future. I've been playtesting the game since its closed alpha phase started back in November 2025, so let's get into it. Bellum is a communications-heavy, platoon-scale military shooter planned for release later in 2026. It's being developed in the Unreal Engine 5 by Astardi, a group of developers led by Karmacut, someone you might be familiar with from his Milsim content on YouTube. The game is set in a hypothetical future conflict in Africa in the 2030s, which is important for 2 reasons. First off, Africa is an environmentally diverse continent which provides the possibility for a variety across the maps, whether it would be fighting through sprawling forests, open terrain, or urban areas. And secondly, placing the conflict in the 2030s gives the developers a little bit of leeway in the equipment they include in the game, which I think will allow for the game to be both fun and well-balanced. The game seems likely to end up being about 100 players per match, with teams of 50 going head-to-head across different game types. The current game type we've been testing is attrition, where your goal is to grind down enemy manpower, basically to eliminate some portion of their overall lives. In each match, players have only a few lives, and just 1 or 2 shots can leave you incapacitated and needing medical attention. So the gameplay as a whole is a lot more realistic than most games out there, as players are really careful not to lose those precious lives of theirs. If you're totally unfamiliar with Milsim games and you like the idea of realism in a multiplayer game, then you really might want to check this out. If you are already familiar with Milsim games, the one thing I think is worth mentioning that I think is really cool is the developers are trying their best to remove any gamified elements. So for example, not having a ticket system in the game that starts to influence how the gameplay plays out, based on how many tickets the players know they have left on their team. So Bellum's gameplay features asymmetric warfare, pitting 3 pretty different factions against each other. You have the US Army 75th Ranger Regiment, Sadr, which are a Russian PMC faction, and Al-Zalam, the local African forces. You can really start to see the differences in these factions when you go up against each one. You might have the Rangers firing at you with their suppressors and you're struggling to figure out where those bullets are coming from. Or you might have explosions going off next to you from Al-Zalam's RPGs. The different factions each have their own advantages, so the Rangers have better equipment. They have armor plates, for example. But Al-Zalam has home field advantage, so they have more lives at their disposal to utilize guerrilla war tactics. Bellum is an infantry-focused game, and while Astardi intends to include vehicles in the future, the team has said these will be limited to transport vehicles such as APCs and rotary aircraft. And as we know, drones are becoming an increasingly important part of warfare, and drones are planned to be included in this game. I even recently saw some comments from a developer on Discord that implied that drones might be coming very soon. The teams have predefined roles, with each squad having a squad leader, 2 fire team leads, and other roles such as medic, rifleman, and grenadier. There are also gun teams that have a different squad setup, and they man the team's machine guns and any anti-tank weapons the faction has.
We're literally at that green fence at 313.
Yeah, that's kind of where we were.
Is anyone
further than I was engaging, but load me up.
Loaded. So, for a brief history of what we do know about Bellum's development. Astardi first announced the game in 2024 and released multiple pre-order editions which get you varying levels of access to playtesting the game. From the most expensive to the least, those tiers are Founders, Supporters, Deluxe, and Standard. The Founders Edition is no longer available, and those players have been playtesting the game for an undisclosed amount of time. Supporters, the tier I purchased, have been playtesting the game since November 2025. Our tests have pretty much been every 2 weeks since November. The team has said they're working hard to get the servers to be stable for longer periods of time so that they can run playtests every weekend in the near future. These playtests have consisted mostly of 4 sessions every playtest weekend, but more recently they have been all-day servers on Saturday and Sunday. And when the game moves from beta testing to early access, Standard Edition players should get their chance to play. It's also important to note that these editions have been offered at a pre-order discount, and when those discounted prices will end, I'm not sure. The game is PC only, and the devs have said they have no intention in putting the game on Steam, so it is standalone. If you are interested in playing the game, the specs are on screen here, so feel free to pause if you need to. So that's the basics on what Bellum is. I'm going to get into frequently asked questions about this game in a future video, so for now let me just tell you about my experience playing the game so far. In short, it's been pretty awesome. The gameplay is immersive and weighty, and you get some real cinematic moments in pretty much every match you play. There's really no running and gunning in the game, there's no crouch sliding and all the other typical FPS mechanics that you see today in any game outside of the Milsim genre. Instead, the closest thing I can compare it to is Ready or Not, where you can almost feel your movement and gunfire and blast effects and things like that. The game is also quiet when it's quiet and loud when it's loud. That means when it's silent and your squad is all laying low, you might hear a tree branch snap in the distance from enemy movement. But if you're trying to communicate to the guy next to you while someone 5 meters away is mag dumping, well, good luck. Bellum also has a relatively intricate medical system where wounds have varying levels of severity and impact your body differently. When patching yourself up or others, you need to decide whether to tourniquet a limb first to prevent blood loss or if you're good to just start packing the wound. And medics, well, they have a really tough job. If multiple people get hurt, they have to triage and figure out who to treat first so you don't lose anybody. And the team's medics also have access to some of the more complex stuff like stimulants, depressants, and blood bags. The core game mode that we've been playtesting right now is simply to find and fix. Basically, eliminate the enemy team and hold influence in the AO, the area of operation. In my experience, matches are generally somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour and a half. The game rewards calculated movement, superior positioning, and tactical maneuvering. It's really rare to see an outmaneuvered squad make it through an enemy flank or ambush. And communication in this game is absolutely key. To put it simply, the team that communicates more effectively is going to win the match. The game has 3 communications channels. It has local chat, squad chat, and command chat. If you've played other Milsim games, then this will be familiar to you. Local comms let you talk to people in close proximity to you, and you will hear a difference in their voice, in the volume of their voice, based on how far away that person is from you. You can use the squad channel to communicate with squad mates, and the squad channel comes through your left earpiece. And command net is only accessible to the leadership positions, so that is squad leaders, fire team leaders, and HQ squad members. And you can hear command net through your right earpiece. And what's really nice is there's enough variety in the game right now to do something different every time you hop on. If you want to take on a leadership position, you could lead a fire team of 3 people, a squad of 8, or you can go ahead and be the platoon leader for the whole team of 50 people. If you're interested in blowing things up, you can pick the grenadier role or handle one of the team's rocket launchers. If you want to pour hundreds of rounds down onto the enemy, you could grab a machine gun role. And if you're one of those people who just loves packing wounds all day, you could be your squad's medic. So far we've been playing on one map, but the interesting thing is it's never actually the same map. There's one sprawling map the developers have created called Highlands, and they have cut it up so that every playtest takes place on a separate section of the map. So although it is technically one map, it's been a nice variety. I remember in the first playtest we did, there was a lot of dense jungles. Then we started to get more villages, and lately we've had to contend with a river that cuts through the map, which has made maneuvering very difficult. Not much on future maps is known, except that the developers consider the African region to give them a pretty wide range of maps to develop, and I have seen discussion that more urban settings are planned for development later on. So this is just a little bit about my experience playing the game so far. If you are interested in picking up the Supporter Edition, I should also mention that you can pop into the training server that's up 24/7 to test your settings and play around a little bit. And if you're on the fence, I'd recommend checking out one of the live streams on the official Bellum YouTube channel during the next round of play testing. Karmacut often does a 2-hour stream of the gameplay, watching it from an overhead camera, so you can watch me pull off a beautiful ambush on an enemy team like I did here.
Love to see it. Oh my god, but these guys have walked into an ambush! They've walked into an ambush! It is going to be hard for Satyrs.
Alright, that's all for now, but if you're interested in seeing more Bellum content in the future, please give this video a like and subscribe. As I mentioned earlier, I plan to cover frequently asked questions about the game in the next video, so if there's anything you're still curious about, put it in the comments below and I'll try to answer in the next one. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.